Hello you guys, and welcome to your weekly card pull. My name is Alexa, I go by alexab.alchemy, and today I'm going to be doing a card pull actually for the entire month of May. So this specific reading is designed and channeled for all of my Virgos, so if you have a Virgo sun, moon, rising, and or north node, this one is for you. Now after you watch this video, but before I get into it, make sure that if you haven't already, you check out the other videos for your other signs if you want a little bit extra clarity or a little bit of additional information, specifically about how to navigate this upcoming month. So this is channeled for the month of May. Again, this is for my Virgos, and I have 3 decks. I have 1 tarot and 2 oracle decks, and I'm actually feeling called to start out with a little bit. I'm going to do oracle first, and then I'm going to move into some tarot, and then I might go into another oracle deck, so we'll see. But for the reading for this upcoming month for you, my Virgos, the question I would like to start out by asking is, what information or energies might you guys be looking at this upcoming month? What might be helpful for you in navigating any situations that might arise? And just overall in general, what guidance might be useful for you? So, while I am shuffling for you, my dear Virgos, something to keep in mind, we're in a little bit of some energetic craze right now. So we are in the middle of Taurus season. Taurus will be going up until the middle of May, and then we will move into the season of Gemini. Taurus is all about getting rooted, getting steady, slowing down, figuring out what is sustainable for you in your life and what is not. And the sign of Gemini, or the energy of Gemini, brings us to concepts of communication and the mind, so our thoughts are going to become a little bit more prevalent towards the end of the month. Now we are also in eclipse season, and Mercury is currently retrograde. It will be retrograde until I believe the 14th of May. So communication might be a little bit tough. There might be some shadows coming up for you if you feel like you're seeing a lot of past things, maybe like exes or old situations, old habits, things that you feel like you had retired but they're coming back for you to look at. It's completely okay. That is kind of the nature that we're collectively all working through right now. So, all right. Back into your reading though, specifically, my dear Virgos. Okay, a few things to keep in mind. First card that's really sticking out to me actually is the full moon eclipse card, and this card comes with a message that conclusions are within reach. So I do feel like for some of you, maybe you have set some goals, or there are some things that you want to be working towards, and maybe you're not 100% sure how you want to get there or what method is going to be best. And so some of you may be in a position where you're feeling, I'm getting the word lost. I don't know if that's quite the word that I'm looking for, but maybe some semblance of like not quite understanding where you're going or how you want to get there. And so the good news for you, my dears, is that conclusions are within reach. You are not too far off. I think in the midst of this time, if you really slow down, you might find what you're looking for a little bit more clearly. So let me see the other cards to provide a little more clarity. So actually, all of the other cards that I pulled for you guys were in reverse, which is basically upside down. Anytime cards are pulled in reverse, they're asking you to look at yourself. Maybe a little bit of shadow work. I feel like for you guys especially, my dear Virgos, I'm just adjusting that. I feel like you might be looking at some shadow. The shadow side of Virgo energy in general is perfectionism. Virgo is the sign of refinement, which is absolutely amazing. However, when you get to an imbalance with that, it can become an obsessive refinement or an over refinement, aka perfectionism. So some of you may be dealing with, honestly, like perfectionistic traits, and that might be stopping you from, oh goodness, it might be stopping you from reaching the conclusions that you're trying to get to. But if you, as noted, everything here is in reverse. So one of the cards I have is the card of the waning moon. It's asking you what you need to release. I feel like there's a piece of your identity or a piece of yourself. Maybe, honestly, that perfectionism in and of itself is something that you need to release in order to move forward in your goals. Okay, we have full moon in Taurus, full moon in Leo, and full moon in Cancer. So a lot of the full moon energy that you guys are looking at right now. The full moon in Taurus, again, is all about stability. This comes with the message that your dreams need a practical plan. So for some of you, again, the conclusions that you need to have are within reach. I think a lot of that will come from making a practical plan that's not based in having everything perfect, but just having things function. Full moon in Cancer, personal issue reaches resolution. So I do feel like this entire process is going to be kind of personal, maybe a little bit close to home. It may, and it probably will, affect your outside life, but I feel like a lot of what you're going to be looking at is very internal and specific to you. And finally, full moon in Leo, don't let pride get in your way. So I feel like a lot of these are still reflecting or going back to, this is full moon in Leo in reverse. Upright, she looks like this. So I do feel like a lot of the themes that you guys are looking at are bringing you back to a place of understanding your relationship to yourself. If you're being, a little bit obsessive with perfectionism. I'm feeling called to like immediately pull from the other oracle deck actually and just see what comes up here. It seems like though for this upcoming month in general, you guys might be looking at some internal battles, which is not necessarily a bad thing. The point of Taurus season again is figuring out what's sustainable. So these battles might be coming up for you to recognize like what works for you, what doesn't, what's sustainable and what's not. The entire card pile just like flew out of my hand. I love that. And is nowhere to be found. So I guess those ones definitely are not going to be coming out. Okay, wow. 3 more cards from the Crystal Spirits deck, all in reverse. We have Tiger Eye, we have Bronzite, and we have Obsidian. Again, everything here is in reverse. So where do I want to start for you guys? I think I'm going to start out with the Obsidian. This card is all about self-reflection, observing yourself, knowing yourself. Because it's in reverse, it's definitely pointing towards this importance for you to just get familiar with your habits. I think right now would be a really good time for you to very gently ask, like, what are my habits? What are the things that I'm gravitating towards? Why am I gravitating towards these things? What is this bringing me? And just getting a clear understanding of who you are and why you're showing up in the way that you are showing up in certain situations, especially in situations where you feel like you're trying to achieve something, but you feel a little bit blocked on the way to getting there. I also pulled, again in reverse, the card of Tiger Eye, which has everything to do with optimism and this level of like powerful purposeness. So the essence of Tiger Eye is kind of like if you want to manifest something and you have this like positive drive towards it and this kind of like willpower. And Tiger Eye is all about the combination of that fiery energy, that spark, that excitement that you have, and that more earthy energy of like putting things into action, making plans. So I do feel like, I keep moving this camera, I'm sorry. I do feel like my Virgos, a lot of the topics that you might be looking at for the month of May, they might produce a level of fire within you. I think there's definitely some things in the way of passion, whether it's passion projects or people, relationships, things that just like ignite this level of passion within you, which is really beautiful. And learning how you want to create some level of sustainability so that that fire doesn't like immediately burn out. Like you need earth, you need continual earth, you know, you need more logs in the fire for it to keep burning. So for you to create some semblance of, stability in your life or your situations, I think it will require you to understand the ecosystem of your fire, or the ecosystem of what it is that you are looking at and what it is that you are dealing with. I did also pull, as noted in the reverse as well, the card of Bronzite in the upright position. She looks like this. And this message comes with a really big, there's a really big importance anytime that this card comes up of being willing to trust, like themes of trust in general. So not only trusting that the universe has your back or trusting any situation that you're in, but also trusting yourself and being a trustworthy person. Whenever this card comes up, especially in the reverse, I feel like it's asking you to acknowledge, like, what are the ways in which you trust yourself and maybe what are the ways in which you don't. You might be looking at times when, or reflecting on, especially because it's eclipse season, so we're looking back, we're looking at shadow things, you might be reevaluating, or you might have things popping up about situations in your life where maybe you've done something and you've betrayed your own trust or the trust of someone else. And if that is the case, the point of it, again, is not to make you beat yourself up and be like super obsessive about perfectionism. The point of it is to show you something so that you can understand how to create, again, sustainability. And for you, maybe that sustainability comes from continually choosing to put yourself first, or continually choosing to move forward in a way that honors your deepest self. And if you've been living from a people-pleasing state or a constantly giving and never taking state, this card and all of these cards in general are asking you to establish a level of loyalty to yourself and to establish a level of trust within yourself by following through on your word and following through on the things that you really need. What do you really need? I think I'm feeling called to ask that question. What is it, my dear Virgos, that you guys really need for this upcoming month of May? What are the things that you need to be focusing your energy on, really trying to bring more? What do you need to bring more into you need to bring more of, into your space, your life, your days, your interactions, your relationships. I feel like for some of you, there's some really like toxic relationships that you need to mold. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to like throw them away, but I feel like you need to mold them so that you are also getting the things that you need and the things that you want. Okay, so we have a lot more cards in upright. I have Orlite, I have Euclase, Chrysocolla, and Amazonite. We're going to start with the first one that I pulled. So the card of Orlite, I love this one, honestly. I feel like these are some of the most beautiful colors ever in this deck. But a huge message with this card is mindfulness and being present. I heard a really cool quote recently, which I'm feeling called to bring up, and it was something along the lines of, or to the effect that when you are not living in the present, you are worried about the future, obviously, or the past, and so you're basically like depriving yourself of the ability to enjoy what's happening right now, right in front of you. And what's happening right now, right in front of you, is allowing you to, it's revealing a truth to you. Again, the first card that I pulled from that first deck, conclusions are within reach. I feel like a lot of those conclusions are going to come to you, even like if you look at the similarities within the colors. I feel like a lot of those conclusions are going to come to you. They're going to be revealed to you by you constantly and consciously choosing to be present to what is and choosing to be present to what is before you. And I cannot stress enough how important that is. If you don't have a practice of meditation, dear Virgos, this might be a really good time to employ one or some kind of like mindfulness habit, whatever gets you in a flow state. I feel like is going to be really potentially useful. I felt called to just throw out two more. So Celestite, this is all about connection to the angelic realm. So again, meditation, prayer, if that resonates with you, connecting with your guides, people who have passed, if you dabble in that kind of stuff, like there's definitely a huge level of like connection to the spiritual world. Aqua Aura Quartz also in reverse, so a little bit more with yourself, but again, this has some themes of connecting to potential. This is more about connecting to themes of infinite potential, so I do feel like this is also kind of encouraging you to, I guess similar to the Tiger's Eye, like connect to that passion that you have, the things that like bring you a sense of like a spark and a sense of life, you know, and a sense of joy. Okay, Amazonite, again, also in reverse. This card is really, really implying an importance of like the natural flow of events and that natural flow unfolding truth to you. So there's just a lot of, I feel like a lot of you, there's some level of truth, and moving into Gemini season, Gemini is an air sign, so it has a lot to do with the mind and has a lot to do with communication. And coming out of Mercury retrograde, I feel like some of you, just to make it short, I feel like some of you might be experiencing some events where some truth is laid out for you. And this could be painful. This could also be amazing. This could be like one of the most like revolutionary things for you. This could be one of the best things that ever happened to you. But there is some level of like a revealing of self or revealing of someone else. There's something being revealed. A lot of the cards in reverse. So maybe this is a truth you are going to find out about yourself. Maybe you're going to realize like, oh, I didn't know I like that. Or, oh, I didn't know I felt that way. Or, oh, I didn't know this was as important to me as it actually is. And because you know, when you sit down and you meditate and you connect with those things that feel like they're really important, I feel like that, again, is what's going to bring you to the conclusions, to the answers that you need. And you have to give yourself space to sit with that and like honor whatever comes up and to honor it very lovingly. Again, like with the full moon in Leo, this card having been in reverse, not letting pride get in your way, like you, Virgos, I know there is a piece of you and you have to also welcome lovingly, like even that shadow side of yourself that like wants to be perfect, that is also a piece that you might benefit from really choosing to sit down with and just love and just acknowledge like, why is this piece of me here? This piece of me wants me to continually refine and get better, which is amazing. And what are the limitations of this piece of myself and how can I love that and make space for that? And I feel like that's going to be something you're going to have to ask yourself across the board in like a number of areas in your life. Okay, so I also pulled, again, Chrysocolla, excuse me, God, and Euclase. So Chrysocolla, this one's all about speaking your truth, so I do feel like this is, to me, this I'm getting like really heavy energy for Gemini vibes. Like this is like end of May vibes. So towards the end of May, when we move into Gemini season, and Mercury is out of retrograde, I feel like whatever truths you sit and reveal about yourself, that whatever truths it is that you find, you're also being called to express those. Maybe the truth is in the way of your wants and your needs, and you're being called to really sit with those, understand them. You don't need to like shove them down people's throats, and you don't need to immediately be like, I think I need this. Like, you are allowed to spend some time with this. This doesn't have to be a quick process. This can be a slow process. And you're being called to really sit with those feelings and sit with what it is that's coming up for you. And then once you have done that, being willing to communicate that and doing so from a place of love. And again, the card I pulled, Bronzite, there it is, about like steadfastness and loyalty, like being true to your word. So making sure that the things that you bring forward are true and they are honest and they're coming from a heart-centered place. And that's, I think, really going to benefit your relationships, to yourself and also to the people that are surrounding you. And if those relationships crumble or shift or change, that's completely okay. They are changing as a result of you changing and deciphering what it is that you wanted to let into your space and what it is that you don't want to let into your space. And that is a really beautiful sign of evolution. Finally, the card of Euclase. This is all about wisdom from within and your own gained wisdom. So I do feel like this one also is speaking to the same topic that the Orlight and the full moon eclipse card. I feel like these are all speaking, and they all have this beautiful purplish hue to them. I feel like they're all speaking to this really important theme for you to just align with what it is that feels good to you and what it is that like feels right to you. And that doesn't necessarily, again, those conclusions, they're within reach. You don't have to come to them immediately, but they are there if you sit down and you open up the space for them to come forward. So I do feel like, in summary, in short, a lot of like meditation, a lot of meditative stuff for you, spending some time really deep in thought and deep in your feelings, might really benefit you for the upcoming month of May. And I do feel called to pull a couple of cards from the tarot deck, so we'll see what else wants to come up for you guys here. I also feel like for you, my dear Virgos, I feel like consciously choosing to release negativity, especially if you have a lot of negativity about like yourself, or a lot of negativity in the way of like how you're relating to yourself. Again, that negativity could be in the way of perfectionism, but just really choosing to let go of those things, especially when you're in the process of meditation or as they're coming up. Like, you can acknowledge it, see it, sit with it. You don't need to ignore it, but once you've done that, really choosing like, okay, is this something I want to carry or is this not? All right, so tarot, my dear Virgos. Okay, what do we have? We have Queen of Swords in reverse. We also have the High Priestess. So I'm getting a lot of intuitive energy right off the bat. There's going to be a lot of really powerful feminine energy for you in this upcoming month. We have the Three of Pentacles, so some collaborative efforts. I feel like a lot of this reading is really about yourself. To me, this one is kind of speaking more to the same vein that Chris Cole was speaking to, in the way of like communicating your truth. And I feel like the communication of your truth is going to be really important in your connections with other people and creating like harmonious connections that are also beneficial and productive. For some of you, I feel like this actually might come through in the workplace a little bit more than anywhere else. For some of you, this might be more of a personal thing, but I do feel like the willingness to communicate your findings or your discoveries, yeah, that's definitely gonna be something that's really important to you. Okay, so we also have the Ace of Swords in reverse. So Ace of Swords in reverse, Queen of Swords in reverse. I feel like there are definitely some themes in the way of your judgment and your clarity, especially your inner clarity. I would encourage you with the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords implies the feminine expression of your your thoughts and ideas. However, in the reverse, it can imply a level of manipulation. So I would be mindful for you. Like, we have High Priestess upright, which is amazing. So definitely, again, feminine energy is going to be a theme that you might be working with a lot this month. And I feel like the lower vibrations of that, or the more negative iterations of that, could come through in the way of manipulating others or manipulating your word. Again, the card of Chris Cola, the card of Three of Pentacles, like everything that has come through in the way of your communication is encouraging you to find that inner clarity first and then communicate from a very honest place. So I do feel like Ace of Swords, maybe this is kind of an encouragement for you to take that time out for yourself and to really understand what your thought process is. Maybe you're not thinking as clearly right now, and so really taking this time to, again, take that step back and meditate. I did pull the Hermit, which is also an encouragement for you to maybe take a little bit of space to identify your beliefs, how you feel about things, what is important to you, learning from any mentors, sages, is important, and also your own inner path and your own inner guidance. So your inner guidance is a big theme, my dear Virgos. And finally, I did pull the Two of Cups in the upright, which is very encouraging. This card has a lot to do with harmony and your relationships to other people. So I do feel like while this month you might be dealing with a lot of themes that are pulling you inward, a lot of the cards, again, were in reverse. So there's a lot of this like looking within, working with yourself, understanding how you feel, where you stand on things, understanding your shadows and not projecting those onto the world around you, taking that space away from the world to kind of like sit with it, understand it, meditate on it. I feel like that's going to create a really stable foundation for you to figure out how you want to move forward, and to do so in a way that is really honorable, and to do so in a way that communicates your thoughts, your perceptions, your ideas very clearly to the world around you. So my dear Virgos, thank you so much for tuning in. I love you so much. I really appreciate you guys being here. If you have questions on anything, or you want me to do a supplementary pull specifically just for you, please reach out and let me know. You can find me here, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere at alexab.alchemy. I do these readings generally. I try to do at least one weekly reading for one sign, and I am doing a monthly reading right now for all of the signs. So if you ever want to tune in for a little bit of additional guidance, that is an option there. And finally, if you're ever curious about like astrology or the astrological piece of what I am talking about, I do post a lot of videos on that on TikTok as well. So make sure that you check it out. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and I will see you guys on the next one. Have a good one.